The ongoing conflict in Gaza has been a cause of concern not only for the people living in the region, but also for the global economy. With rising tensions and escalating violence, experts fear the conflict could slow the global economy, triggering a recession. In this episode, we'll explore the factors that could contribute to a global recession and the potential impact of the Gaza war on the world economy. Impact of global geopolitical tensions. Global geopolitical tensions have always had a significant impact on people's perceptions of economic growth. Studies have shown that concerns about such issues can make individuals and businesses more cautious about spending and investing. This cautious approach can eventually lead to an economic recession. The recent escalation of the Israel-Palestine conflict is no exception. Investors worldwide are worried about the consequences of this war, particularly given the already gloomy outlook for global economic growth. The most recent episode in a decades-long cycle of bloodshed in this region appears to have no end in sight, as seen by Hamas's onslaught on southern Israel on October 7th. The possible short and long-term economic effects of the conflict are easier to understand than the reasons for these events, which are complex. If the Russia-Ukraine war has taught us anything, complex independencies shape the world's geopolitical and economic environment. How conflicts can affect the economy. It is well known that internal and interstate conflicts can significantly impact various economic indicators, such as stock market indices, exchange rates, and commodity prices. In many cases, the prices of these indicators may even rise before the commencement of hostilities. However, the long-term economic consequences of such conflicts are usually more complex to evaluate. The effects of even the most apparent and severe events on investor behavior can be challenging to gauge. This is because the psychological impact of such incidents can linger on for a long time, and the resulting changes in investor behavior can be somewhat unpredictable. As a result, it is often hard to predict the lasting effects of conflicts on the economy. The Middle East has been a hotbed of conflict for decades, and unfortunately, this has often led to significant spikes in oil prices. Some examples of this include the OPEC oil embargo of 1973-1974, the Iranian Revolution of 1978-1979, the Iran-Iraq War that began in 1980, and the First Persian Gulf War of 1990-91. As the region supplies almost one-third of the world's oil, an instability can create market uncertainty, mainly based on concerns about interruptions to the global oil supply. Therefore, the impact of the conflicts in the Middle East extends far beyond the region, and it can affect the entire world's economy. The volatility and unpredictability of global conflicts and their potential impact on the oil markets are evident in the concept of risk premium. The risk premium is the additional amount traders are willing to pay for oil that is traded ahead of time in the future markets, compared to the actual real-time price of oil. This premium reflects the profits that speculators anticipate making from buying and selling oil during a conflict, and the concerns of businesses that produce and consume oil regarding supply and demand dynamics. It reflects the hedging needs of the industry and the uncertainty surrounding the future of oil prices, given the geopolitical and economic factors that influence them. The impact of the recent Israel-Hamas conflict on the global financial markets will depend on the extent of involvement of other major regional powers. If the conflict remains localized between Israel and Hamas, the impact is likely to be limited and confined to countries with direct trade links with Israel or Palestine. However, if the conflict escalates and spreads to other major oil-producing nations in the region, such as Iran, the global economy could experience severe repercussions. Energy costs for businesses and households could skyrocket if the oil supply is disrupted, leading to inflation and economic instability. It's crucial to keep an eye on the situation and take appropriate measures to mitigate the potential risks to the global economy. Rising energy prices could pose a significant challenge for central banks across the globe in their efforts to control inflation. This is particularly true for both advanced and emerging economies. If such a situation arises, central banks may adopt a higher-for-longer monetary policy that keeps interest rates at elevated levels, which could have a ripple effect on the cost of borrowing and refinancing by governments, companies, and individuals. In other words, this could lead to an increase in the cost of loans, reduced spending power, and slower economic growth. The impact of different global scenarios on the economy can be better understood by examining historical events. For example, the 50-day war between Israel and Hamas in 2014, which resulted in the deaths of primarily civilians, did not have any significant effect on the global economy or financial markets. However, the clash between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon in 2006 had a more significant impact. This conflict caused a global surge in oil prices due to fears of a broader conflict in the Middle East. Examining these past events can help us better understand and prepare for potential economic implications of future conflicts. What to expect this time? In addition to the ongoing escalation of the Israel-Palestine conflict, other factors require careful consideration. One such factor is the realignment of global alliances, which has led to a slow shift toward deglobalization and a change of trade policies. Countries like the US and the UK are increasingly concerned about relying on suppliers in potentially hostile regions, and the impact of imports from low-wage countries on local labor markets. As such, they are relocating economic activity, including sourcing and manufacturing products from different countries. Navigating these changes with diplomacy and foresight is important to ensure a stable and prosperous global economy. The international reaction to the attack has shown some nuance. Most Western countries have voiced their support for Israel's right to defend itself, while China and Russia have called for a ceasefire without taking a stance on Hamas. This suggests that the issue of Israel-Palestine could be tied to the broader trend toward new geopolitical divisions that were already starting to emerge before Hamas's attack. Thus, the ongoing conflict between Israel and Palestine has the potential to escalate into a major international crisis, involving influential regional players and potentially causing significant harm to global economic growth. As a result, investors are already preparing for increased financial volatility across all markets, including equities, government bonds, and commodities. In times of economic uncertainty, investors seek refuge in safe haven assets such as gold, which can protect against market fluctuations and provide stability. The price of gold has already surged in response to the latest escalation in tensions between Israel and Palestine, as investors seek to hedge against the potential economic fallout of a prolonged conflict. Investors and financial analysts will be closely observing the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas in the coming days, with a watchful eye on any signs of further escalation. The potential impact of this conflict on the global oil markets and the resulting repercussions on inflation will be of particular concern to market participants. Any further increase in oil prices could amplify fears of rising inflation, significantly impacting the global economy and financial markets. The conflict between Israel and Gaza has implications such as changes in sailing schedules and port closures, cancellation notices for aviation hull war cover for non-Israeli airlines, and difficulties in providing coverage. The potential ripple effect of the conflict could impact all areas of exposure. Insurers may be required to exercise more significant due diligence, with reinsurers possibly withdrawing from the war risks market. It is crucial to consider the global ramifications of this regional conflict and heed expert warnings. An attack on gas supplies can majorly impact the global economy. The ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas is already having an impact on gas supplies, particularly in Israel. In response to the Hamas attacks on 9 October, Israel's Energy Ministry ordered Chevron, which operates the Tamar platform located 25 kilometers northwest of Gaza, to halt production temporarily. This platform primarily catered to domestic needs. The Israeli government also instructed Chevron on 10 October to temporarily stop the flows through the most crucial pipeline linking Israel and Egypt, the East Mediterranean Gas (EMG) pipeline, which connects Ashkelon, a city located 13 kilometers north of Gaza, to Arish in northern Sinai, Egypt. Israel's energy ministry has also suggested that electric utilities in the country should look for alternative fuel sources to meet their requirements. The gas component in the country's energy mix is around 40%, a significant increase from zero in 2000. This rapid growth has been fueled by the electricity generation industry, which was previously dominated by coal. As of now, gas accounts for 70% of Israel's electricity. Overall, the ongoing conflict in Gaza is a significant concern for the global economy. While it is difficult to predict the exact impact it will have, there is no denying that the ripple effects of such a crisis can be felt worldwide. As countries continue to monitor the situation and take necessary steps to mitigate the risks, we must stay informed and be prepared for any potential economic challenges. Ultimately, our collective responsibility is to work towards a peaceful and sustainable future for all.